G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. See this thing right here? This isn't an Intel Pentium. For one brief shining moment in the mid-90s, this was something meant to be way more dangerous, an Intel killer. This here, the Cyrix M2-300, a forgotten contender from the great CPU wars that took a legitimate swing at Team Blue, and for a decade actually made them flinch. So what the hell happened? Why isn't Cyrix in every laptop and desktop? Today we're going to be ripping apart this silicon piece of history, and we're going to be forging the ultimate Windows 98 dream machine. We're going to do that by we're going to get rid of the rust, we're going to get rid of the yellow off the front, and basically just give it a new lease of life. Clean it out, check what works, what doesn't work, and then we're going to be slotting in a Monster 3D to really make it come alive in games, or so we hope. I'm Nick, this is Retrobrite RTX. So the story of Cyrix, it's a classic David versus Goliath tale, where we've got Goliath, in this instance is Intel, and David is obviously Cyrix. Their masterpiece back in the day was the 686. It had stellar integer performance, crushed a comparable Pentium in office tasks. This led to their P rating, or performance rating if you will, where they advertised its performance equivalent, not the actual clock speed, a move that was equal parts genius and totally unhinged. For example, a 133 MHz Cyrix chip was marketed as a P166 Plus because it could outperform a Pentium 166 in business applications of the day. Technically, the 686 was impressively advanced, featuring a super scalar, super pipelined architecture that in some ways was more sophisticated than a Pentium's. This meant that it was brilliant at handling 16-bit and 32-bit instructions that made up Windows and its Office software. It could chew through spreadsheets and documents faster than an Intel chip running at a higher clock speed, which is what made it so effective for Windows and why the P rating wasn't just pure marketing fluff. But the fight didn't end there. Cyrix refined the design and released the M2 series, like this one here, the Cyrix M2-300. This chip here runs at just 233 MHz, but was marketed as having a business application performance of 300 MHz, comparing it to a Pentium 2-300. However, the original 686 and the newer M2, like this one, had a fatal flaw: the floating point unit, or FPU. It was absolutely terrible. It was basically a recycled design back from the 486 days. If you did spreadsheets, it didn't really matter. But for the tidal wave of 3D games that were coming, like Quake for example, that relied heavily on a specialised maths brain, it was a death sentence. While Intel's Pentium could cleverly interleave different types of instructions, the Cyrix FPU would just get choked up, turning what should have been a gaming performance processor into an expensive paperweight. So some of you guys may be asking, why am I bother restoring a Cyrix M2-300? You know that they're a budget processor, the FPU is no good, all that sort of thing. And for me personally, I used to have this, I won't say this exact machine, however I had the same processor. I had a similar motherboard and I had the SIS onboard video and all that sort of thing. And even back then, I added a Diamond Monster 3D. So that's what I'll be doing in this build too. But obviously I'll be restoring it, and it's more of a nostalgia sort of thing for me personally. And by reading the comments, that's what most people are saying. You know, I remember this. You know, I remember the TNT, the Voodoo 3, Voodoo 2, whatever it may be. You know, all that sort of thing. And ultimately, that's what it's all about for us, I guess. You know, playing the old games and the nostalgia and that sort of thing. So, yeah, that's the reason why I'm doing it. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, guys, I just wanted to show you this. This is a poster that my girlfriend made for me. She said my wall was a bit bare in my videos, so she wanted to put something up there for me, so this is what she had made for me. Let me know what you think in the comments. I reckon it's absolutely great, but I'll be interested to see what you guys think. Alright, so we're going to start by pulling it apart, taking screws out the back already. Just removing this IDE CD-ROM, 36 speed by the looks of the front panel. Very yellow, just like the rest of the front panel. So we're looking at giving that the Retrobrite treatment. This motherboard has the option for ATX and AT power supplies. The one that's in this particular build is an AT, so that's what we'll be sticking with, unless there's some sort of issue with the power supply. I'm not sure at this point. If there is, then we'll be swapping it out for an ATX. So at this point in time, we're just pulling it apart and going to give it a good old clean and bit of a restoration, and go from there. And if parts need to be replaced, then we'll look at that then. As you can see there, that's actually quite filthy. Even got bits of, not sure what that is, looks like bits of plant potentially, like a leaf or something. Yeah, very rusty, as you can see. Bit of a trick to getting rid of rust involves soaking it in vinegar. Don't know if you guys actually knew that, but that's part of the treatment of what I'll be using to restore this. Alright, so this is the front panel. Just going to start by taking the switch off for the front. That's the front, obviously. Just going to take this outside and blow it off, just because there is a lot of loose crap on here and I don't want to go around my lounge room. So as you can see, I've blown off a lot of the loose stuff. Obviously there's still a lot of dirt on there. Now let's pop that out. So you can see it's very yellow compared to the back of it, which has seen minimal sunlight, I imagine. Still very dirty, however, we're going to wash the rest of that dirt off in some hot water. Highly recommend getting one of these if you haven't got it. This is just a little blower. You can use compressed air obviously, however I do find in the long run getting one of these blowers is a lot cheaper if you're going to do a bit of it. So same thing with this one here. You can see it's got a lot of dirt and that sort of thing in the bottom of it. Screw rolling around in there, we'll take that out too. So I'm going to take this outside too, just get a bit of a blow off. As you can see now, it does look a bit cleaner. Still obviously not perfectly clean, do not get me wrong. However, it's ready for the next stage of just giving it a decent clean underwater. So that's what I'll be looking at doing next. You can see the back of it there and also underneath. See if we can get some of that rust off. If it doesn't want to come off easily enough, I'm contemplating actually spraying the whole lot in paint just to give it a nice refreshed look. Obviously we're trying to go as close to the original colour as possible. If I do that, I'll be taking out these plastic bits down the bottom there, because obviously I don't want those painted. So okay, so this is obviously the motherboard. Taking this off, put a couple of drops of oil in him. And there's obviously a bit of crap on the back of it like everything else. RAM out of the slots. I'm actually not sure how much RAM is in this, so we'll look at that when we go to fire it back up later in the build. And the other thing too, just need to pop this out, the battery, because we'll be replacing the battery. I don't know how good this battery is. It doesn't really matter, they're that cheap. It's not worth the effort or the risk, should I say. I'll even pop off the heatsink. Give that a bit of a wipe. It's got a bit of dirt on it. Oh, it's got a pad on it. It's just a thermal pad, so it's basically the equivalent of a thermal paste. So that's what we'll be doing. So there's the 686. It's funny, this one here, most of the Cyrix ones were actually clocked at 66 megahertz bus with a 3.5 times multiplier. This one here, I can actually see written on the chip. And what I'll do is I'll turn the board around so you can actually read it. Because this one here's got a 75 megahertz, if you can read that, 75 megahertz bus with a 3 times multiplier. So in theory, that should give us better performance. The only thing in this build holding that performance back would be the EDO RAM. I'm not too worried about that, just because I want to keep it as it was, so to speak. So that's why I'm going to put that back in, even though, you know, people will probably comment saying SD-RAM has got the higher performance, which they are 100% right in saying. But that's what it come with in this particular build, so that's what I'm going to stick with. That's what was put in it by whoever made it, so I'll just stick with it. Just thinking then too, 75 megahertz bus times a 3 times multiplier. Anyone that's reasonable with maths would know that's not 233 megahertz like the Cyrix's run at. And I know I did say this was originally a Cyrix build. I did boot it up once a long time ago, and it did tell me it was a Cyrix processor, and I hadn't taken it apart, so that's the only reason I said that. And obviously it's saying it's an IBM, which IBM and Cyrix, I may need to check on this, I could be wrong. If I am, I'll leave a note in the video. But IBM and Cyrix made under the same design, as in they were affiliated with each other back in the day with this processor. So therefore, some are branded as Cyrix, some are branded as IBM. Like I said, I will double check on that just to make sure I'm right. I don't want to be feeding you guys any rubbish. So I will check on that later on. Just looking for any other screws that I can't see. Appears like I've got them all. So this should slide on the base. Slide this way. I've got them all. It appears I have. Here we go. So that one there was spinning in the back of the board, so I had to grab it with my pliers. Okay, so I'm going to give it a wipe down with isopropyl alcohol. I'm probably saying that wrong, like I've said in previous videos, but that's the stuff right there. So if anyone wants to correct me in the comments, you can. It doesn't look too bad. I'm just going to give this a bit of a light spray over. Okay, so be surprised the amount of crap that actually comes off of these once, like I've done with the blower and that sort of thing, right? But you can see the amount of shit it's just coming off of it. And excuse my French, but I just use these just to get in the gaps really, and just makes me feel better that I'm doing a decent job. And this is a good time too, just to check the caps on the board and actually see that they're all in okay condition. A board of this sort of era, it wouldn't surprise me if the caps needed changing, but to be honest, the caps actually look pretty good. So good thing with this alcohol is that it evaporates by itself, so you can spray it on there, you do your clean, you know, that sort of jazz, and after that it just evaporates off, so you don't need to worry about trying to dry it off or anything like that. It just cleans itself. Just really just getting sort of the crap off the board just to make myself feel better really. Now I won't get it all obviously, but and I like leaving the labels that were there on there, provided they're in, you know, pretty good condition. So you can see that, it's just rot really. But judging by the rest of the case, it's no surprise really, and actually the fact that it's not that bad is actually a surprise really in itself. So that looks pretty good. And I'll give that a rinse under water actually, I think, just because like it's got a bit of dust in there, and I'll attack it with this again just to get the crap out of it, and we'll get the board out of the way first. Might be a good idea. But I think, yeah, we'll certainly wash that too with the rest of the gear, and it should come up pretty good. So I'm just going to put a drop of oil in behind here. So in behind this sticker here, that's where the bearing for it sits in the middle. So I'll just gently pull that back. As you can see, just there in the middle. This here is genuine machine oil, or we call in Australia sewing machine oil. Same thing really, it's just a light oil. So I'm just going to put one drop in there. Okay, and put that back over. Give it a bit of a spin. There we go. Let's get that all running down all through it. So guys, I've just been looking at this power supply, and to be honest, I'm not 100% happy with it. You can see there's been a fair bit of rust, and even on what's on the towel here, it's almost like a small bird was living in there. And the amount of dust and the fact there's rust and that in there, it obviously has been exposed to the elements, and there may have been water in here in the past. I'm not 100% sure. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turf this, and I'm going to be using an ATX power supply. However, because I'm using an AT style case still, I'm going to be using basically one of these. And what this is a ATX to AT adapter, and so it means I can use any ATX power supply with an AT motherboard. So you can use it for a 386. I've actually used one in the past for a 486 restoration, and worked brilliantly. And from all intents and purposes, you can't actually tell that you're using an ATX power supply because it acts like an AT once using this adapter. So I'll just get my ATX power supply. So basically this one here, it's an older one. I'm not going to put a brand new one in this build, but this one appears to be in good condition. There's a little dust on there which I'll clean very shortly. And so basically plugs in like so, like it's going to be plugged into the motherboard, except you're putting it into an adapter, and then obviously this plugs into the motherboard here. And to turn it on and off, this hooks up to your switch. So you just got to keep in mind on the switch, which it's over here. So you'll see, well, I've got 4 terminals on this switch, and I've only got 2 here. And if you remember the other AT power supply, there was actually 4 been put into all these. So it's just a matter of hooking into the right side. So you want continuity between this port and this port, or this one and this one, depending on how it's wired within the switch. We can find that out with a multimeter. Obviously need to get a bit of a clean up too, which I haven't done so as yet. Still got the growth from the last animal that was living within the case, or so it appears. Anyway, so we're hooking it up to probably this one and this one here, but like I said, I'll go and get a multimeter, which I'll go and get now, just so we can actually look at that. So basically you've got your multimeter, you're going to put it onto continuity, take those off, and so give it a test. There's continuity there, and it's just a matter of putting it across here. So I'll put it on this side and this side. There's nothing at the moment, but if I push the switch, okay, there we go, good contact, there's continuity. And obviously turn the switch back off, no continuity. So what that's telling me is that there's continuity on this part of it, and this one here, there'd also be continuity through here, because this is what they call a double pulse switch. So basically it's 2 switches in one, if that makes sense, like 2 sets of contacts. So like that. So either side, doesn't matter, you can just pick one. And up here with these, and then you're good to go. And the thing about these two is that unlike the other ones that were the AT style, which were in Australia 240, but whatever your mains voltage is coming in, these ones here are minimal voltage, most likely 5 volts or possibly 12. But either way, it's not going to hurt you. So it's just the amount of voltage that would normally be going to your motherboard is just going through a switch now, which then turns on the power supply and does everything else. So that's got that sorted. This power supply here looks pretty good actually. I've just got to have another machine. This one was out of a Pentium 4, but it really doesn't matter. Pretty much any power supply that you pull out of an older machine that's ATX is going to have enough power to drive an old AT machine, unless you've got some really serious hardware going on in there. But you'd have to be trying. It's not like these days where you might have a 600, 700 watt PSU or even bigger. If you've got one of those RTX 5090s or whatnot, then you're going to need a big power supply. It's not like that. Even your typical CPU these days is pulling over 100 watts, unless it's you could actually, even some of them are 65, but either way it's still way more than a Cyrix or a Pentium MMX or that sort of thing is going to be pulling. So there we go, it's sliding around in there. So I've taken that out. I'm going to have to take this off too. Just keep in mind, if you have had this plugged in recently and then you disconnect it and you just go ripping it apart, the capacitors could have charge in them. So just be aware. I don't want anyone to get a boot or anything like that from opening up a power supply. So this one here's got one under here, I would say, underneath this perfectly positioned sticker. Which, there you go, ta-da, straight under there. Okay, let's put those off to the side, lift that up. And there's a little bit of dust in there. Give them a bit of a blowout with the old blower. Okay, and obviously while you're in here, if you heard before, just check the capacitors and that sort of thing just to make sure they are okay. These ones look perfectly fine. So if anything's going to blow in a power supply, chances are it's going to be a capacitor. And before we put the cover back on, let's give that a bit of a clean too. And it's just a matter of screwing it back together now, this way. Go. So there you go. It's just a matter of working out how they come apart, to be honest. I don't claim to know everything, but I do this as a hobby, and so same here. It's just working out what's actually holding this little bad boy in and getting him out. There you go, it's the twist on that one, so that's a little bit different than others I've encountered in the past. As you can see, it's actually a fair bit of bloody stuff in here. So I'll give it a bit of a blow, and let's see if I can also get that little front flap off, because that'll definitely help me get easier access. But not only that, it'll let me clean it easier, as opposed to if it's still stuck in there. So let's put like a little towel or something. I'm in the corner there. I think this one here, it may be a case of just leaving it in there. There may be a way of getting it out. It's beyond me though, because there is a risk, you know, with these, obviously these older things that are, you know, this is, it's getting towards 30 years old. It wouldn't be that far off of it really. So there is a risk that I could break it, and that makes it, yeah, obviously in a worse situation than I am now. So I'm going to get a just a cloth with a little bit of spray on it and just give that a nice clean. So we'll do that separately a little bit later on. Obviously this is going to give this a clean here on the back. She's just a little on the filth side, and also to this here, because you can see that on the camera or not, but minus the dirt obviously, but you can see where it's yellow on the front and a bit whiter on the back, where obviously the sun doesn't hit it. So I'm gonna just do that and Retrobrite that along with this too, so once they're all cleaned obviously. So here's the CD-ROM. Like I said before, it's 36 speed, as an indicator on the front. BTC, I'm actually, to be honest, I'm not familiar with that brand, but that's what we're going to go with, provided it works. If it doesn't work, then I'll swap it out later in the video after it's tested and that sort of thing. But at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead with the retrobriting process and also the clean and go from there. So it'd be just a matter first of popping this out. So I just need something to push in there, like a paper clip or something like that. Careful with that. Okay, so I start by pulling the front off here, top like so. Some are easier than others. Okay, so now where are we? Got to find out where the clips are. There's one little one there. Start with the one there. Down there. And the other side. There we go. Bit of dirt, pretty consistent with the rest of the build actually, if you think about it. But we'll certainly give that a wash. In here, once again, more crap. Okay, so bits and pieces like this, I want to give them a hand wash, put them under water. Obviously it's not going to hurt them. Other pieces that I can't put under water, I'm just going to give it a hand wipe over with a bit of detergent and a cloth, and that'll be next up for retrobriting. So I thought I'd just show you guys too, you don't always have to do it this way. You can get brand new, or should I say replacement parts, but as you can see, very rusted. So I'm going to put this in here, and I'll get that bit of crap off it. But this here is vinegar, okay, just straight standard vinegar you'd use in cooking. You can get double strength if you want to, but this does the job. So you just dunk it in there, put anything else that's rusted in there, and we'll just let it sit for 24 hours or so, and then we'll come back to it tomorrow. So that's all you need to do with that. You can give it a bit of a, want to help it along a little bit, give it a bit of a clean up. You could even get a scour or something onto it and that sort of thing, but you'll find that the vinegar gets into it quite well anyway, unless it's really badly done. The only thing with this is that you are removing the vinegar. However, any damage that the rust, should I say, is done underneath will remain. So, if something's really badly rusted, this is obviously not going to bring it back to life. It's just going to get rid of the rust, and then you'll see what damage the rust has done. So, can be a way to salvage some things, But so just going to use a bit of spray. I'm just using called Sparkle. It's just basically your generic sort of detergent, like a spray and wipe sort of thing, and giving things a wipe over. Make it nice and new again, or look as new as it can do anyway. So I'm outside here, and what we're doing is I'm going to be putting this here for retrobriting. So basically we'll set that in there, and I've got this set up here like so, and I've got some of my cream developer, 12%. So I'm just going to pour that in there, and I've got a bit of water in the bottom there, should I say. So I'm going to pour it. This may not work just because it is getting towards winter here, so we may not get enough evaporation inside the container for it to work. And if that's the case, just means that I'll have to do it the other way, which I'll show you later on if that's needed. So set this in there. Face all the yellow parts upwards. Set that there as best I can, and there we go. Just going to give this a bit of a mix. What I'm going to do actually, it's a bit more water in there than I thought, so I'm going to add a bit more cream developer just to strengthen her up. All right. So it'll be just a matter of leaving it in there for a few days, just checking on there every day or so. And so you put the lid on it and lock it in. There you go, all ready to go. So I thought I'd just do a bit of an update just to see how it's going. So it's obviously still yellow, but it's losing its yellow tinge. It is looking better, so a bit more time, maybe even till tomorrow. Some things may need a direct application, so we'll see how it goes. But tomorrow's meant to be a bit warmer, so the heat does help. So we'll go from there. So here we are, we're going to start spraying. So I've got some vintage beige, that's obviously going to go on the outside and as our top coat here. Also got some etch primer because we are going to be rubbing back those rusts that's on the actual case itself, and this is obviously what you'd put over it just to prime it ready for the top coat. Prior to that though, we will be using some of these sanding sheets here. I'll be starting with 120 grit just to get rid of the loose stuff, and then obviously progressing through the grits. Also too, just roughing up the surface with like 400 grit. This pack here comes with 6, that'll be ideal. So I'm just going to start by sanding now. Just going to start with the edge. So now just going to be spraying it with the etch primer here. Just going to spray top coat now. So we've got vintage beige. So this is the best colour that I could find that resembles it pretty closely. So this is what we're going to go with. So we'll just wait for that to dry, and that'll be fine. So that's it guys, end of the build. You can see the machine's come up. I'm actually really happy with it, how it's come up. Had to swap the floppy drive out, the old one wasn't working, and also had to swap out the CD drive. It'd read the CDs, but it wouldn't pop the CD back out, so I ended up swapping it out with this Pioneer unit. It is a DVD rewritable. That's okay, I think. Not quite Pure Pacific, I know that. However, it performs a function in that I get to load CDs and DVDs into the machine so I can play games and whatnot. So for that sense, it does work well. But yeah, that's it. So if you've got any comments, feel free to let me know. Also too, remember to like and subscribe if you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one. But before we go, at the end of the video, I'm going to leave me just playing some games on this machine, just so you see it for yourself how well it works and for what it is. You can see that if you're willing to wait around for it. I did try to load GL Quake on there, and it's something I'll look at in future when I've got more time, but for some reason it kept giving me a blank screen. And when I was loading Glide, it came up with the Glide splash screen, but after that it went black, so I'm not sure what was going on there. I did try to change the drivers over and that sort of thing, and I couldn't get it to work, and I didn't have the time to look at it. So feel free to leave me a comment if you know it, guys, what that is. Maybe you can point me in the right direction, that'd be fantastic. But I do remember years ago when I had the similar sort of system, I didn't have any issues with that, so I'm not sure what was going on there. Anyway, that's a wrap, so I'll see you at the next video. And my name is Nick, and this has been Retro to RTX.